Hey everybody, Malice here again with another video. This being the first in a series of videos, probably about 7 or so. Ironic, given the subject matter we'll be reviewing being the Death Guard Codex. Now, in the Codex reviews I've done before, I've generally done an overview and then reviewed all the detachments in one video. This one, I'm tweaking it up a bit, so each detachment is going to get its own video, plus an overview at the end. So, let's get into it. And we're starting off with my personal favourite detachment from the book, the Death Lord's Chosen. So, what have we got if you decide to go down this route with your Death Guard army? Well, let's start with the detachment rule, Deadly Vectors. In your opponent's command phase, roll 2d6 for each afflicted unit, subtracting 1 from the result if that unit is below half strength. If the result is 6 or less, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. Can't complain at that. Chance to inflict damage as you wear things down. We'll always play that game for an army build. Now, into some of the shiny stuff, and we'll start with the enhancements. The first one being the Face of Death. Now you can only give this to Terminator characters. At the start of the fight phase, each enemy within engagement range of the bearer's unit must take a battle shock test. Not great, not particularly bad. Definitely better contenders for the slot, which we'll be coming to momentarily. The next enhancement you can take with this detachment is Vile Vigour. Again, Terminator model only. Whilst the bearer is leading the unit, I'd wanted a movement characteristic of models in that unit, and you can re-roll advance rolls made for that unit. Solid, especially if you're putting the character, say, in a unit of Death Shrouds and you want them to get on the offensive quickly. Likewise, if you're putting them in a more melee-centric unit of Blightlord Terminators, and again, you want to get them into the fight a bit more quickly, re-roll your advance rolls, extra pip of movement. Nothing wrong with that. The third relic, or enhancement as we should call them, not relics, that's old money. The next one is Warprot Talisman. Again, Terminator model only. Can you spot a theme with this detachment? Once per battle, at the end of your opponent's turn, if the bearer's unit is not within engagement phase of one or more enemy units, you can remove it from the battlefield and place it in the strategic reserves. So if you're not in a fight, you can pop this and do some deployment shenanigans with the bearer in their unit. Again, some nice tactical versatility if you want to get that unit of Blightlord Terminators or Death Shroud Terminators going after a specific target. You can make your life a lot easier in that regard with a Warprot Talisman. Now for my personal favourite enhancement from this detachment, and the one, if I was playing, I would definitely not leave home without, and that is the Helm of the Fly King. Again, Terminator model only. Whilst the bearer is leading the unit, models in that unit cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacker model is within 18. Now, Death Guard are tougher than old boot leather as it is. Essentially, if you're making them, if they can't be shot, one unit, if they can't be shot unless the shooting unit is within 18 of them, yeah. Again, a unit of Death Shrouds and Blightlords, possibly with a Lord of Virulence, which would be my pick. Yeah, what I would run with this is a unit of Death Shrouds with a Lord of Virulence, and just let that unit just go about and cause maybe mayhem, knowing that they've got an additional survival buff on top of already being tougher than old boot leather. Yeah, I like this enhancement a lot. So, let's move into the other shiny stuff and the stratagems for the Death Lord's Chosen. Now there's 6 in total, as per the usual way these things work with codexes. So let's start with the first one, Blooming Pestilence. Now again, unless I specify, these all cost 1 command point. So we'll start with Blooming Pestilence. You can use it at the start of any phase. Target 1 Terminator unit in your army. Till the end of a phase, add 3 to the contagion range of models in your unit. Beautiful stratagem to tie in beautifully with the Death Guard's army rule, which I've touched on in a previous video, but we'll go over more in the overview. But basically the contagion bubble continually increases as the game goes on. So you've got this as ace in the hole when, say, it's a max range of 12. Pop this, bang, you can take it to 15. I'm not turning that down for 1 command point. The next one, Grim Reapers, use it in the fight phase on a Terminator unit from your army that hasn't been selected to fight yet. Until the end of a phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, excluding monsters or vehicles, you can reroll the hit roll. Now, Death Guard, like all the starties, are reasonably accurate as it is, but rerolls are always nice. So, again, very solid stratagem. Undying Spite is the third offering. Use it in the fight phase just after an enemy has selected its target. Excuse me. Target 1 Terminator unit, from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Again, Games Workshop like to be a bit wordier when they need to at times. And the effect, until the end of a phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, if that model has not fought this phase, roll the d6. On a 4+, don't remove it, it can fight after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks and is removed on play. So basically, Undying Spite is the classic fight on death stratagem that a lot of factions have access to. Again, it's a very solid stratagem. Being able to do even if you get wiped out, being able to get your licks in. We'll play that game. 4th on the block, we have Signal Pox. Use it in the command phase. Now this is targeting the Lord of Virulence, which is one of the characters I would run in this detachment. And the effect is, select 1 objective marker within 30 and visible to your model. So there's a bit of range with this one. Until the start of your next turn, whilst the enemy unit is within range of that objective marker, that unit is afflicted. So again, something else that plays another stratagem that plays very beautifully into the Death Guard army rule and has a fair bit of range about it. So in most cases on an average table, you can pretty much reach out and touch one of the fabled no man's land stratagem. Oh, not stratagem, sorry. Objective markers. Or failing all else, if you've managed to use some deployment shenanigans or deep strike your Lord of Virulence in, you can target one of your opponent's back line. Again, nice stratagem, got good uses, ties in beautifully with the Death Guard army rule. The penultimate stratagem that the Death Lord's Chosen have is Mortarian's Teachings. Use it in your shooting phase on a Terminator unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot yet. Until the end of that phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the assault and heavy abilities. So, double the utility on double utility on a unit's ranged weaponry. Now, this one you would more pretty much use exclusively with Blight Lord Terminators, especially so if you've tooled them for range. And the final stratagem for the Death Rolls chosen is Sickening Impact. Using your charge phase just after a Terminator unit from your army ends a charge, and the target is that said Terminator unit. Select one enemy unit within engagement range of your unit, then roll 1d6 for each model in the unit that is within engagement range of that enemy unit. For each 2+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound, up to a maximum of 6. So, charge in, inflict a few wounds before the combat kicks in. Always nice to get a few licks on a unit before a weapon is swung in anger. Decent enough stratagem. And that's pretty much the theme of this detachment. Very Terminator centric. You're going to be running, if you're not running a lot of Terminators, Blight Lords and Death Shrouds playing this detachment, you're playing it wrong. All the enhancements are about Terminators, all the stratagems are about Terminators. That's it. This is my personal favourite detachment from the book because it's the style of Death Guard army I would play. The so-called Blight Wing, if you like. But yeah, that's the first of the 6 detachments in this book reviewed. So what do you guys think? Do you like this detachment as a Death Guard player? Is there another one that grabs your attention? As always, let me know in the comments and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.